Though I talked to the men, and I also talked to the ladies, because many times, anytime we talk about marriage, it's usually the ladies. Many times, it's usually the ladies that give attention to it, and the men will feel like, well, it's really necessary. But you now discover that by the time you now get into marriage, you discover that you are the head. You are the head of that home, and to be the head is not just something you say. It's actually a functional thing. It's something you have to do. It's I showed us last week that being the head, that you consider your head. On the head, that's where you have the eyes, that's where you have the nose, that's where you have the ears. So which means that anyone who is considered as the head must be someone who can see ahead of others. Like, you know what next to do. You know where the family, you know where to take this entire family to. And like one of the days I mentioned that marriage is a living thing. You know, two living persons that have spirit, soul, and body coming together, and then to build a home where the society is now fed with what they are building, like the children they are going to raise. So marriage is not just like buying a land project. It's not just like building a house. You just build a house and then, and that's it. Even when you're done building a house, you keep on maintaining it. You keep on working on that house. Sometimes you repaint, sometimes you replaster, sometimes you check the roof and on. So even a house, a building that is not even a living thing, needs to be touched and retouched here and there. Now we are talking about marriage. And I told the men last week that if you're going to be the head, headship actually means leadership. If you are going to be a leader, then you need to be trained as a leader. Leadership training is something everybody must give attention to. So the men, for example, I told us that sometimes when we say leadership training, you say, I'm not a CEO, I'm not a manager, I'm nothing. No, if you are the head of a home, or you are intending, you want to become the head of a home, listen, you need to be trained. Because in leadership training, that is where you learn crisis management. There are many waters of marriage, and you don't just want to get into that thing and then you're running back to where you can't even find help from. Okay, so there's crisis management. You have to learn how to be effective, how to be an effective leader. Come on, this thing has to be taught. Many people go to school to become doctors, barristers, medical lab scientists. You know how long you spend in school to become these things. Now we are talking about something that is meant to be for a lifetime. You need to be trained. You need to be trained. You need to learn emotional intelligence. Like, you don't even need to go to university to learn these things. There are leadership trainings here and there that you can apply for. You can be trained in any language, whether any language. Just please train. I need to be trained, because once you become trained, your value appreciates, and then your spouse. Because once you begin to train yourself, the first person that benefits from your training is your spouse, your wife. Benefits from your training. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I say that you need to train yourself so that everybody around you will benefit. Okay? Because if you don't train yourself, you know what's going to happen? You remain at that level, and once you remain at that level as the head, every other person can go beyond that. And this is exactly what is making a lot of marriages to crash, because by the time the head is not growing. Now when I talk about growing, I'm not just talking about the regular university, regular university certificates, like after your BSc, masters, become a professor. No, I'm talking about, there are trainings of life. There are trainings of the soul. There are different life skills you need to learn, and then give that woman an opportunity to also grow. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you don't give her opportunity to grow, she will suffocate, and you don't want to do that. You're going to place a lead on her, and you don't want to do that. Do you understand? And then I also talked to the ladies. I told the ladies that when you finally say yes to this man you've been crushing on, you've been loving, you've been dreaming about and on, and when you finally marry this man, please allow this man to lead you. That's actually why you're there. Allow this man to lead you. That's why I'm talking to the singles right now. Before you say yes to him, check if he is fitted to be your head. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because many times we get attracted by the money. By the time we get in there, it's not what we want. Because money is not everything. That physique you're looking at is not everything. Do you get what I'm saying? So don't become so infatuated that you don't see the real thing. Because by the time you get into marriage, marriage opens your eyes. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so I told the ladies, once you marry that man, allow that man to lead you. Please submit to that man. Now somebody might say, what do you mean by submission? See, marriage has its own rules. And one of the rules of marriage is rule of authority and submission. We can cut it. We can change it. It's a rule of authority and submission. And what do you do to authority? You appeal to authority. When certain things are not working the way it should work, you appeal to authority. And remember that you are the helper of that man. So which means you also need to be trained. Because you need to learn how to work. You need to learn team spirit. Yes, there are persons that don't know team spirit. They just want, the man just wakes up in the morning, wow, this is what we're going to do. No consultation. The woman wakes up in the morning, no consultation. No. Once you marry, you have formed a team. And in that team, we have a focus. What makes a team is the project at hand. And for both of you, it's neither you nor I. For both of you, the project at hand is this marriage, is this family. But the point is that each of us, when you are better, this marriage is better. When I am better, this marriage is better. So I train myself for this marriage. You train yourself for this marriage. So team spirit, you must cultivate team spirit. Woman, listen, you don't just wake up in the morning and then do whatever you want to do and say your husband is not allowing you. Please appeal. Appeal. There's a way women have been designed. There's a way you talk. The authority just sees himself, even supporting you in that project. You shouldn't be brash because it's something you have to do. No. These are the things that make marriage work. And let me say this at this point. Your marriage is not going to work because you're a professional. No. You being a professional is going to work in your professional body, in your professional association. That's where it's going to work. When we get into marriage is going to work because you're marriage literate. That's it. I see a lot of men that say, Achomoye got school. I want somebody that went to university. That's okay. Now, the major thing school offers you is discipline. Yes, discipline. Many of us listening to me right now, most of the courses you read in school are not even what you're practicing now. But what did going to school offer you? Discipline. Waking up in the morning, going to lectures. You don't want to go to lecture, but you have to do it. You don't want to write exam. You have to sit down and read for long hours and then write exam. You are actually training yourself for life. Okay? The certificates you get at the end, I actually want to say it's secondary, but let me not say it, but actually in reality it's secondary. The real thing that school offers you is discipline, team spirit, doing what you don't feel like doing, but you need to do it. Managing resources. You don't have so much time, but the little time you have to cover a lot of notes. You have to cover a lot of lecture notes. You have to do your assignment. So many things. That's what school offers you. So when we are saying, Achomoye Guy University, I want somebody that I want to graduate. What do you mean? Because that the person is a barrister, is a medical lab scientist, is a nurse, is a doctor and on, will not make marriage work. If that all you're looking at is the profession. Do you understand what I'm saying now? Because there are many persons that went to school that their marriages are not working. And at this time I want to say this. I've heard a lot of people say, nobody is measured by the reason of marriage, whether the person's marriage fails or not. Nobody is measured by it. But let me say this to you. Marriage, one thing about marriage is that when you are able to live with someone all the days of your life, it teaches you tolerance. There is no other institution that will teach you tolerance, that will teach you patience, that will teach you consideration, considering other people, putting other people first over yourself than marriage. Now, in a sane country, you discover that one of the requirements of the for someone running as the president of that country, I'm talking about a sane country, is actually that person's marriage. You agree to that. Now, have you ever asked yourself why? Even in the Holy Bible, God himself will say, if someone desires the office of a bishop or the office of a deacon, the first thing that will be considered is the person's marriage. The person being a husband of one, the person being able to control his children, the person being able to put his family in place. Because what the Bible now says is, if someone is not able to fix his own home, that person will not be able to fix the church of God. And I want to say this, that if someone is not able to fix his own home, that person can fix the society. But that's the truth. It's as plain as this, as it can be. So when we say, my marriage does not define me, sweetheart, it does. It really does. Because in marriage, you learn a lot of consideration. You learn tenacity in marriage. You learn patience. You learn being in authority. You learn submission in marriage. I usually say that, and that is exactly how it is, that marriage is God's last resort to train you as a person. There are certain things you did not learn as a single lady. When you get into marriage, you are forced to learn that. And when you refuse to learn that in marriage, that is when marriage begins to get sour, begins to crumble, because you have refused to learn how to manage finances. You have refused to learn how to, have delayed gratification. You have refused to learn how to control your tongue. And then you now get into marriage the same way you maybe gossip people, talk about people, and you now get into marriage and then you're doing the same thing. Can't you see that it's not going to work? But I tell you, I've seen a lot of people marriage changed. There are a lot of women that were brash, marriage changed. A lot of men that were wild, marriage changed. In the olden days, I don't know if they still do it now, but traditionally, once a man is considered a category, they will say, that is, just marry a wife. Now, it's not just about the woman. I'm just trying to show you the power of marriage. I'm not trying to say that women are now should get into an category's life. No, I'm just trying to show you how powerful marriage is. And when you give attention to your marriage is going to, grow, and you yourself, you're going to grow and mature. What I want to drop in your hand today is one thing you need to know, you need to do to make your marriage work. I've seen something that makes marriage to get sour, and that is lack of admiration and lack of appreciation. People get into marriage and they stop admiring and appreciating each other. When I talk about appreciation, I'm talking about, you're considering someone and then thinking about all the person is doing and all the person is. And then you don't just appreciate with gifts, you also verbally appreciate. Let your husband know that you appreciate the fact that he's paying the house rent. Well, you consider it as his responsibility. Can you also appreciate it? Now I'm seeing what you're doing. It's God that will bless you. Thank you for paying for this rent. I know how difficult it is. God bless you so much. Appreciate. Appreciate him for paying those children's school fees. Appreciate him for coming into the kitchen with you. Appreciate. I know I see a lot of people that say, why should I appreciate him? Or if I say, it's not what he's supposed to do that he's doing. Please appreciate. Even when people do what they're supposed to do, appreciate. We do these things in our offices, but then when we come back home, we don't do them. We appreciate our bosses, we appreciate our colleagues in the office, but then we don't do that at home. Then the man also appreciates your wife. I remember when, when I gave birth to my our first baby, and my husband was all over, all over. Some men will say, Imu Jesus, did you give birth to Jesus? Oh no, now you don't know how much you're killing that soul. You're killing that soul. Words, the right words, graceful words, words filled with, seasoned with salt. Open your mouth and appreciate that woman. Is this what these women go through? Is this what women go through? Hi, Nesika, you're a very strong woman. Looking at you like this, you look so feeble. You're very strong. Thank God I married you. Thank God you are mine. Like, appreciate. And let it not just be something that happens once in a blue moon. Please let it happen often. Feed your marriage. And when you appreciate, admire. 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 Admire that woman. Admire that man you married. Admire. Look at something. Say, the older you get, the finer you become. Look at your gray hair. You're even fine in this thing. Why did I not marry you long ago? I feel like the time is just so short. Why did I not marry you long ago? Say it. Open your mouth. Say those things. If you may say, it's not my thing. You see what I'm saying? When you get into marriage, there are certain things that are not your thing that will definitely have to become your thing. Because if you don't make them your thing, you're going to crash that marriage. Your marriage will begin to shrink. Marriage is a living thing. You need to make it robust. You speak to it. You speak to your spouse. Let your spouse know that he is everything, that she is everything to you. And then when you're being admired and then you're being appreciated, appreciate back. Admire back. Don't just be there and then be a receiver. Like, some of our agenda, that's all we do. We just stay there and then we are just the receivers. No, let it go both ways. Okay? Our time is already running out. And like I said, we just have one more episode to end this talk about marriage. I am actually expecting a lot of questions from you. I want to answer your questions. But I want to say right now that if you are hurting in marriage, you can remember how you started. Remember that love. Remember that thing that pulled both of you together. Don't say the love is not there anymore. The love is not there because it was not nurtured. If you nurture it, it will grow. Yes, if you nurture, there's no love that you nurture that will not grow. Give attention to what I'm saying. Look at it, consider it. EbCee's intention is to diagnose and then cure real life issues. And I'm glad you're tuned in today. Thank you very much. Once you are at the other side of the radio, I feel so confident. And until next week, Thursday, 4 p.m., still this same station. Thank you very much. See you then. Bye.